Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Happy Sunday. I know that everybody is really busy with Sunday, and so I want to say a big thank you so very much for joining our town hall today. This is a town hall that's very dear to my heart because I have children. And so I'm always asking about the future generations. So I want to say a big thank you to everybody for being here. Um, I know that because this is going to be uploaded to YouTube, I'm not gonna call you by name unless you identify yourself. How is that? So I see a few people in already. Thank you. So today we're going to talk about the question, should we help our 18-year-old to buy a property? Um, I'm going to share my screen and we're just going to get started. So if you're not speaking, so please mute yourself. Whenever you want to speak, please unmute yourself. So that way we can keep it nice and neat. So the question is, should we help our 18-year-old to buy a property? The question is very, very strategic and very, very concise in terms of the age 18. And it is a perspective on generational wealth. So when we're thinking about our 18-year-old, if you already have children who are 20, 25, 30, that's fine. But we're looking at helping our young ones to buy a property as soon as possible. And is that soon as possible that is 18 because that's the age that they can qualify for a mortgage in Canada. So the question is, should we or should we not? And the reason we're talking about it is because it will impact our generation. So we're just brainstorming for ideas that will help our community. Again, my name is Rose Joshua. I'm your facilitator today. I'm not going to teach today. I'm just going to facilitate a conversation. So I really want to encourage everybody, please, I beg you, participate because today is not a one-man discussion. Today is a town hall indeed. So some of the questions that trigger this, we're going to look at. So in Canada, when our young ones hit a certain age, either from social peer pressure or whatever reasons, many of them leave home. Okay. I know that in our African culture, um, and also I know it in the Chinese culture and in Indian culture. I also know about the Filipino culture. A lot of the immigrant cultures, the young ones stay at home until maybe they get married or they leave town for college, whatever. But in many cases, they leave home. So the question is, at the time they leave home, whether it's 18 or 19 or 22, what are they doing with their money outside of home? Are they renting or did they buy? So the question is for us today to help them to get into the situation that will be better for generational wealth. So where do they go when they leave? In many cases, they are renting. Now, there's the situation where a young one can rent from mom and dad, meaning they're still home. So they pay a bit of rent to mom and dad just to kind of say, yes, I'm part of the contribution, yes. But in many more cases, they leave home and they pay their money to what I call strangers. Okay. Maybe not strangers that they don't know, but basically it's people outside of the immediate family. So the mathematics that we need to do is to ask ourselves, how much are they paying for rent? And the question is, what is the opportunity cost of that money that they are paying for rent? Okay, everybody, please have your notebooks handy because I'm asking questions that we need to discuss. All right. Now, in many cases, some of them they go to college. So if they go to college and they stay at home, like in the home city, they would sometimes stay home. Or they will say, oh, you know what? I'm not going to stay at home. I'm going to go to residence. So in residence, how much are they paying for residence? I have seen even in the University of Alberta residence, University of Calgary residence, Athabasca University residence, sometimes these kids are paying $10,000 a year. I don't know if there is more, but I've seen $6,000 to $10,000 just for residence. Okay. So how much are they paying for residence? And again, the mathematical question is, what is the opportunity cost of the money that they're spending in residence? If they're not in residence, what is the opportunity cost of the money they're spending in renting? Okay. Questions. Now, coming to now analyze what happens when the child is no longer 18. So they graduate from high school, they go to university, they study for 4 years, during which time they're paying rent or residence fees. Then when they graduate, now they have something massive called student loans. Before they go to school at age 18, they do not have student loans. All right, get the picture. At 18, no student loans. At graduation time, student loans. Okay, I see somebody here who says, my son is paying $1,100 per month in Calgary. That is $13,200 a year in residence. Okay, so at 22, thinking that, I mean, assuming that they did a 4-year program, they have student loans upwards of $30,000, $40,000, and then they now say, okay, you know what? Let's buy a house. That is really where many of us land, and that is where we want to ask ourselves: could we do it differently? Could we do it better? Because at that 22. They don't have a job. So we wait until they get a job. And then we wait until they have a job history. And then they now apply for this student loan thing. And so basically qualification becomes hard. And the mathematical question I want to ask is, if they were to get a home at 18, 4 years before they graduate, what is the opportunity cost of the equity growth over the 4 years? I hope you guys, I think everybody knows where I'm heading with all these questions. All right. So, I'm gonna throw it open for now. I think this is the solution page. I'm gonna throw it open for now and stop sharing. All right, so open mic. Somebody say something.
Can you put the first slide that you had? Yes.
First slide up. Okay, sure. First slide up. Okay.
Yes, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is a real big one. When they leave home, where do they go to?
Yes.
Some of them want to just disappear from home.
Yes.
Because I don't know what is peer pressure, but they can still also, with good understanding and good education and good manners of living at home, they could decide and use a savings approach and say, you know what, I'm going to school in the same city as my mom and dad. I'm just going to stay home and save some money for myself.
Okay.
And in those savings periods, they are able to accumulate some money.
Yes.
That could be helpful in buying a house, maybe during the 2 or 2 years into university, where the students' loans are not already surfacing.
Okay.
And if we can help them to do that, then the second page of the equity growth while they're in school is going to help out so big.
Okay.
So it is for us, thank you for this discussion meeting.
Yes.
to be able to learn, to be able to ask these questions to ourselves and see how we can do things differently.
Okay.
So I'm the one that wrote that my son is paying 1,100 in Calgary as rents to go to school.
That's
Had it been,
that's $13,200 a year.
had it been, I had that foreknowledge to buy a condo there in wherever.
Yes.
This 1,100 will be go towards his equity,
Yes.
and not just throwing it out to strangers, as I see you mentioned here, that paying to strangers.
Yes.
So it's something that we can learn and see how we can apply to change our community towards success, more than just letting them get out of school and cannot go anywhere because they have a huge student loan in front of them. So thank you. I'll give the floor to somebody else to comment.
Before you give the floor to somebody else, thank you, Sister Margaret. Before you give the floor to somebody else, so your son is in how many year program in University of Calgary?
4 years.
So for residents alone, the 1,100 does not include food and shelter.
No,
I mean,
rent. That's rent.
Just rent. Okay. So 13,200 times 4. How much is that?
Oh, a big money.
13,200 times 4. That's 52,008.
Yes.
Okay. That's big. That's big. So that's how much rent he would have paid over 4 years. And so
Yeah.
we need to actually take a look at what will be the opportunity cost if we got something small in Calgary that he could have gotten. Again, I know we're using your son as an example, but that's, water under the bridge. But this discussion can help somebody in the future whose kid is now 14, 15, and so they prepare in advance and maybe get them something small in their, regardless of where they go to college. It doesn't really matter whether they go to Nova Scotia or PEI, it doesn't matter. The idea is to not spend all this money on, just rent, right? Okay, sounds good. Okay, so open floor to everyone. Please unmute yourself. Sister Adedayo, I see you are unmuted. Go ahead, ma'am. Oh, no, she's not. Okay. Okay, we need people to participate, brothers and sisters. Uncle Shaya, go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon, and good afternoon, everybody. So I'm just thinking aloud now that will the 18-year-old qualify for a mortgage? I think the answer is going to be no. So it's going to now be on the parents, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, who will probably be able to qualify for the mortgage to get that. So, which is one thing to consider, right?
Yes. Yes.
The parents is able actually to get a second mortgage,
Yes.
in order to be able to make the purchase. And yeah, if they're able to do that, it goes a long way, right? And then, well, it's like rather than paying the rent to a stranger, you're actually using it to build something,
Yes.
right? And then the parent can still support. And again, the other thing is while the student is on holiday, they are probably doing some work or the other,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that's also the time to instill the discipline, of ensuring that, look, this thing is yours. And you should, at this stage begin to, learn how to save towards it, know that you are building something for yourself, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's going to help in curbing other expenses or expenditure that probably wouldn't add much value, right,
Yes.
to the child. So that's just going to be my contribution for now.
That's great because parents okay, I'm not gonna keep talking. I think I'll just let everybody talk. But what you've said is really great, that we instill the discipline on our children way ahead of time on saving, because I have 3 girls. Okay, I'm not throwing my girls under the bus. But when they were teenagers, and none of them is a teenager now, my youngest is almost 28. But when they were teenagers, these girls will buy, makeup all the time, like a house full of makeup, long boots that reach the knees, one brown, one red, one blue. It's like, why are you buying all these things? You don't even need them. So when young people have money and they don't know how to save, they spend it. So parents, we need to work ahead of time, because they have money even before they're 18, right? Okay. More contributions, please. I see that Dr. Chino, you're here, sir, and you are unmuted. You want to contribute something? Good afternoon, sir.
Hello. Good afternoon, ma.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Good afternoon, sir. Thanks.
I'm driving.
Okay.
Yes, ma.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Okay, so let's do a bit of investigation. We're saying that they can buy something, right? But the question is, what can they buy, all right? And where can they buy those things? So what they can buy depends on where they are, all right? And where do they get the money? In this forum, we have talked about different ways of saving for children. One of the ways is of course, when we have the RESPs, in most cases, the RESP goes straight into tuition. So, that's not available if they go to college. But then we also have universal life policies that have cash value. So those cash values can be leveraged as down payment for a house to help parents, because now, as Uncle Shayo noted, is the parents who are going to have to qualify. So it will be like the parents are co-signing the mortgage on their behalf, right? So then what could they purchase? So let's see. I actually took
Dr. Rose?
Yes, ma'am.
While you are going to look for what they can purchase, I also have another question. Maybe you will answer it when you're putting everything together. Like, if you have kids that will start to teach them how to save money, and they've been saving money for non-regular jobs, maybe they're self-employed, they could do hair, they could do nails and save their money. Yeah. And if the parents have to co-sign for them with their name on the sheet, they will not have like a proof of income at that time. How will that go?
That's a good question. And I'm happy that Dr. Charlie Obimbo is here. So he's going to be my helper today. Dr. Charlie, welcome, sir. I always throw you under the bus.
I didn't know you're going to throw me into the frying pan.
Welcome, Professor. How are you, sir? How is Ontario?
Fine, thank you. Fine, thank you.
Yes.
I actually had a question, but now I have to answer a question.
Yes. I know you're going to come in with a lot of questions. So that's good. That's good.
It's settled. Okay, so my view is this. So what I've seen, I saw about 15 years ago, a student buy a house with the parents. Right? This was a white student, University of Guelph. And it was a very good idea because he bought a townhome, and he was staying in one room and was able to rent out the other 3 rooms. So practically I think he was a co-op student. So all his 5 years, he was my student actually in computer science. All the 5 years, he stayed practically for free. But not only did he stay for free, there's some things that we as Africans sometimes are reluctant to do. And I normally talk about the Canadian experience of waking up to capitalism. So the deal with his dad was, the dad was lending him the money, the down payment, and they were buying the house, of course, together. So he probably qualified with the dad. And then at the end of it all, when the guy finished, he actually moved out of Guelph. He sold the house. he got enough money. He actually he finished his education loan debt free. And he had a down payment to a new house and paid back his dad. Now, that I want to say that one has to be very careful to say that that is the path I'm going to follow. I was actually listening to a tape, and Dr. Rose Joshua tells you real estate is very good depending on where you are, but it's not 100% sure. Like any investment, it can even Tesla, name it, blockchain, cryptocurrency, they go up, they come down, right? Right now, we are having difficulties. Right now is a buyer's market. The market are not doing very well as far as sales is concerned right here in Guelph, which is in Toronto, which is in Ontario. And many of the buyers normally sometimes come from Toronto. So back to your question, if the people are saving and they have a job, for me, if they have a pay slip, they have a T4, they actually have an income, that counts. Now, with that, they might not qualify for the amounts because some of the amounts are huge, right? And now that they're going to school, if you're thinking of going about it that way, they're probably going to lessen their work, right? So that, but still coming in, and then they sort of work sometimes in summer. So if I were to do it, I would actually co-sign with my son so that it's also, or daughter, so it's also their property. So I don't have to transfer it and incur all the things that come with the transfer, and let them also play a role, because depending on who they are, people are different, right? But it's theirs, right? Because my son unfortunately hasn't started working because you know, he has a lot of academic work to work on. I would like to see when he starts working, because then he can build his credit, you know, and he also can have a pay stub, and I will be able to partner with him in some of these investments if I choose to go that way.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Professor. The other thing also, Sister Margaret, is that, and I believe, Dr. Obibo, this is also applicable in Ontario. I know here in Alberta, you can buy a home. Now, the young person does not have a job, so they cannot originally go on the mortgage, but you can, after closing, add them to the title as co-owners.
Yeah, yeah. And I think one has to be careful how they go about that. It may be good to talk to either an accountant or a lawyer. Repercussions of that kind of thing. Because my neighbor, I live in Fergus, and my neighbor, they bought a place, so it was a pre-construction, and so it looks like it was on the wife and the mom, the wife's mom's name. And they wanted it in their name as a couple, right? So they paid, and I think Dr. Rose Joshua, you're more privy to this. They paid about $35,000 to change the name.
Yeah, yeah, with the builder.
Yeah, with the builder.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Now I was wondering why they would do that, but they have their reasons, right? Because I've seen, you know, another place where somebody and his son bought a place, and when they parted ways, the father and the son sold the place, and I don't think the wife got anything, even though they were staying there, even though it was matrimonial, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but I think I wanted to put my son in the title deed, and I think at that time he was not even 16 yet. I don't know what they count as an adult here. It looks like it's something like 16 or something like that. So they were saying that
Alberta is 18.
Oh, so it may be 18 here as well. But I remember something weird like, sorry, the guy is not of age, so you can't put him in the title as yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, whether they have work experience or not, in the long run, I am a passing cloud. And instead of it getting to my estate, it would have been easier if the thing is already in his name, right?
Exactly.
Then from that point of view. Yeah.
Okay, so Sister Margaret, I hope, did that help with your questions?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so Um,
May I ask my question, Dr. Rose?
okay, go ahead. Yeah, before we now say, okay, let's take a look at what is out there, depending on the province. Go ahead, sir.
You mentioned that RESP could not be used as for down payment, but can just be used for educational purposes.
So RESP can basically RESP money belongs to you minus the 20% CESG match, which is maximized at $7,200 per child, right? So if a person decides that they are not going to university, the money,
Okay.
you can take your money back and use it for whatever you want. So if a child eventually does not go to college or does not use their RESP, decides to take a student loan, you can cash out the RESP minus, and then they will take away their 72, their CESG.
That portion of it,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I was thinking if they are going to college and they're using it as a down payment to buy an apartment or a house, then so long as they're going to college, they can still withdraw and use it as a down payment, right?
I'm not aware of that.
If they're
So
going
maybe
for
you can,
education, once I withdraw the money, they don't ask me how much did you pay for rent, how
Right.
much did you pay
Yeah.
for,
Yeah.
So it's up to me as a child how I use the money. So if I saved it, and I don't know what the limits of withdrawal is. I mean, if I had saved it, and let's say I had 40,000, and the student is going to pay 10,000 for fees, but wants to take 30,000 towards down payment, you know better than me. How does that apply? Is that allowed? I mean, I'm withdrawing 40,000. It's my RESP.
So typically, when you're pulling money out of an RESP, it goes to the education provider in many cases. Now, if you pull it out and say, I'm going to college, then, it's exposed. You can pretty much do whatever you want with it.
Okay.
I see that Dede has unmuted. Dede, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to comment on what Uncle is saying. What I know is they pay that money, like Dr. Rose is saying, directly to the school.
Yeah.
However, I don't know the catch where maybe the RESP you contributed, it's more than the school fees or whatever. So I don't know. I can't tell what that balance will be like. That may be used, like how Uncle is trying to explain, maybe used for the down payment.
Right.
However, they don't bring the money to you to take it to the school. They give it to the school directly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but then Uncle is asking a very important question. What about if like I'm having 60,000?
Yes.
And the school fees is like 40 for the whole 4 years, or he's even going to school from home.
Yeah.
So what happens to the balance? That's what I'm also interested in knowing.
So the balance you would get, and if there's a CESG on it, they would take that.
Okay. Can I say something?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
I think
so what I wanted to say is then it means if they will take the C whatever from it, then it's a good idea for us to seriously start paying those coming after us. My daughter is done, it's an adult now.
Yeah.
To start right as we give birth to them, and at least the child tax benefits, if even half of it is going towards it, then it's possible that by the time they are entering university, I'm sure there will be something to, that is if your income, because even that you can't depend on it, because depending on your income, that is when you know how much child tax benefits you'll be receiving, right? So I think we as the parents, if we really want to help that child, should begin from the moment they are like, yeah, and putting in this RESP constantly, then I think at the end of the 18 years or whatever, what Uncle or Auntie Margaret is saying can make sense, where we don't have to struggle to look for the down payment because the RESP contribution will be more than the school fees. I don't know how, as at now with this generation, I don't know how that will turn up though.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are possibilities. So there's the RESP, there's student loans. Okay. So there's something about student loans also. Student loans, when a kid takes a student loan and they are not going to stay at home, they get money for residence, which increases their loan, right, Dr. Charlie? That increases their loan. All right.
Yeah, let me put it this way.
Yes.
Because actually somebody just came from Ontario to British Columbia, and therefore they're staying away from home, but they don't even qualify for the fees.
They don't qualify for the student loan.
They qualified for the student loan very minimally. So
Okay.
the parents are actually struggling to try and pay the fees, and I think they have until November 10th or something like that to come up with the fees. So
Why do they qualify minimally? Is it because the parents are making too much money?
yeah, I think you have to be very careful looking at because in some places they say, okay, you can get a student loan if the combined income is less than 100,000. There
Right.
is actually a clause on how much the parents earn or how much the household earns,
Yeah.
as far as the qualification of the student loan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
one
then
thing. The other thing I wanted to just point out slightly in regards to what I was talking about, the RESP, is the RESP alone in most places will not give you enough money for down payment. So you still have to make sure that you have a nest or something that you can borrow from for the remainder of the down payment.
so in nest, like for example, universal life cash value, somebody can take
Yes, anything
money.
like that, or if you have equity on your house, that would be a good starter because those ones normally are, in some cases, higher than the investments that the people would have on other places. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, this is great. This is great. Sister Margaret, you wanted to say something else?
Yeah, I think I'm liking this conversation because
Me too. I'm
it's
excited.
taking, I will be putting the bits and pieces. This year alone, I have had to help so many parents taking money out of their RESPs for the children to go to school. And in that process, we learned a lot.
Mhm.
So the first thing I will answer Sister Didi to say that I don't know if some companies want to send the money directly to the schools. I don't know whether it's a company policy, but with the RESP itself, the parents are allowed to ask for their principal contribution back into their accounts. And from there, if you decide that you want to buy a Ferrari for your child to ride to school because it's my child, that's what I want to do, you do with that money. And if you decide to say, okay, I'm going to buy an apartment for my child to stay there and go to school, you can do with that same money. So the only money that is going to the student will be the government grants and the interest that your capital had made. And that will go to the students to their bank account first, then they can go pay their school fees. It doesn't matter. They don't have to send it to school direct. The students can go request showing their certificate of enrollment, and they can actually put the money in the student's bank account.
That is fantastic. So they have access to all the money. So
They have access to all the money. They just have to show proof that they have to go to school. Even you as a parent, requesting that money to come back to you, you have to have that proof of that they are going to school. So
Right,
you can
okay.
just say something like, give me the money, I want to plan the education of my child. Nobody,
And here is the admission letter.
if I take the money and send it to Africa, it's not their problem anymore. I told them I want to plan the education of my kids, and they have trusted me, they gave it to me. So it's actually about us and about maybe the various companies that we deal with. Maybe they have different policies by saying, oh, we're not giving you, we're sending to school directly.
Yeah, I think so, because when we gave them the certificate of proof, that's what they told us. But I'm glad I was actually going to use it for school fees. But
Yeah.
I would have been pissed off if they had said that to me when I needed it for something else.
Yeah.
I would have gone after them. But
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
wanted it, we really needed it for school, you know. She was supposed to go to school in Alberta, but they didn't, you know, accept her on time, and we had to go to Vancouver, BC, which is very expensive. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
So thank God. I'm glad you clarified this thing, so I know what to advise people on the next time. Thank you so much.
Yes. Okay. Thank
So I
you.
think it depends on the company,
Yes.
like you are saying. Yeah.
And
Bye.
then the second thing that I want to add, and
Please, Ma, can I ask a question before you continue with the second one?
Yes,
Yes.
go ahead, Sister Dayo.
So from my understanding now, if the parent now asks for the remaining of it, will it be taxed?
No, it's tax-free because RESP contributions are post-tax, so it's not tax deductible. So there's no taxation.
Okay, that sounds good then.
Yeah, zero tax. Yeah, for RESP.
Well, thank you so much. I never knew that. All I knew was that if the remaining of what you're not using, if the child that owns it is not using, if you have a family, like I have 3 kids now, and maybe the oldest is not using, I can pass the remaining down to the other ones. I never knew that I can actually withdraw and say that I'm not, or I've gotten all I need for her to go to school and I need the remaining. I didn't know it can work that way.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I just want to add one thing. It is upon the RSP provider, the person who's been keeping it for you, to make sure that it's an eligible institution.
Yes.
So in fact, when you are saying that they have enough, if I were you, I would say the person is in school, I want to withdraw. You don't have to talk about, because for me, it is none of their business. Once it's eligible, how the fees is coming out, how much you're paying for residents, that's your business. The fact is they're in school. So if they need 10,000, you want to withdraw 30,000 and they qualify, you can withdraw the 30,000 without giving any reasons. You say the person is in school, period. And then you withdraw, and then you decide how you're portioning, which one for fees, which one for residential, which one for the Ferrari, so.
I knew somebody was going to say something about that. I was waiting for somebody to say something about the Ferrari.
I'm actually learning. My children are still really small. They are still not in college. It's not yet. I still have about some 3-4 years to go.
You are blessed. You are blessed. So now, okay, so I want to bring the conversation back to the house. Okay, so it looks like, I think that we have established that we need to think about getting something for our kids, and we've also brainstormed about where the money is going to come from. So we can get the money from various sources, from RESP if we don't use it all, or student loan, some of it, or universal life, whole life, cash value, sources like that. Now, so regardless of where the children go to school, we can buy them something. All right. Now, in some places are cheaper. I don't like to use the word cheap, less expensive than others. Like, I cannot compare Ontario to Manitoba, for example. So let's take a look at some numbers. And I want
British Columbia.
Oh, British Columbia, exactly. I think British Columbia is almost worse than Ontario. So I'm going to share my screen again. And I did a bit of homework. I'll just kind of show you guys some of the homework I did on the numbers, okay? So if you go to realtor.ca and really, so Sister Didayo, this is homework for you as you prepare your mind for your children's college, okay? So you can also at the same time start preparing them for where do you want to go to school. All right. You don't have to go to school in Ontario if you live in Ontario. You don't have to go to school in British Columbia if you live in British Columbia. Where is it that you can live an affordable student life? All right. So here's a few places. So if you go to realtor.ca, you can basically search for anything you want. So what I've done is I've constrained the search to 200,000 max. All right. So $200,000 max. In Calgary, you can get an apartment. No, that's not Calgary. Where's Calgary? I think this is Calgary. Okay, so this is Calgary. You can get an apartment. It's a 2+ bedroom apartment. Okay, 2-bedroom. So this kid can like Dr. Charlie explained, can buy a property, get a roommate, or even 2 roommates, and basically live in the living room. Get 2 roommates who will pay his mortgage, right? So, and this property here in the Calgary area is selling for $200K, for example. All right. Then if you go to Manitoba, this is Winnipeg now. Winnipeg, you can buy an apartment for this particular one. I see that for $145,000. All right. $145,000 is a 2-bedroom, 1,000 square feet, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. All right. So that's Winnipeg. Where else did I look? I looked in, where is this? I looked in Saskatoon. So this is Saskatoon, 2-bedroom, 774 square feet, 110,000. All right. So we can, depending, I am not going to try to do Guelph, Ontario, because the numbers will be different. All right. But we can, depending on where the kid goes to school, buy something that's affordable where they would have their space. They would get 2 roommates, 1 or 2 roommates who will pay their mortgage over time. So let's say, for example, we have a kid who got a $150,000 property. How much do the parents need to come up with? In most cases, because, okay, so there's different mortgage rules. If you're buying outside of the province for your child who is a student, you can actually get away with 5% down. Dr. Charlie, that's correct, right? I know that's correct from my knowledge of mortgages. Do you have an opposing viewpoint?
Yeah, I think there are a number of things you might want to consider. I will say it is correct, but as you look at it, because now the CMHC will be involved.
Yes, yes, yeah. So there's different things. So yeah, there's different things. So let's say the parents, so the reason I said 5% is because parents will go, oh my God, I don't have money. You know, parents will be the first to complain. So if parents can get away with 5% as opposed to 20%, then we can make it easier for them. Because so let's say it's a $150,000. 20% of that is 30 grand. As opposed to 5% of that, which is 7,500. You understand what I'm saying? Right? So let's say they get away with 7,500 and then they have to take the 4% CMHC, right? Then their mortgage would be 150,000 times, sorry, cancel that, 150,000 times 0.988. So that's really what it boils down to, is 148,200. Let me do that one more time for those of us who will take it step by step. So it's 150,000 times 0.95. That is the 95% after your 5% down, times 1.04. That is adding the 4% CMHC. Okay. So now, then you can then take a look at some of the equity questions. All right. So I'm pulling up a mortgage calculator. All right. So this person has a mortgage of 148,200. Give me an interest rate, any number really.
5%.
No, it's no longer 5. We're now in 3 point something.
No, just put 5. Say that is in Toronto or something is happening. Or somebody that did not want to borrow you, but they just borrow you because you are prepared to pay 5%.
Let's put 4.2 because once it's a secured low mortgage, you can actually get 4% if it's secured. If it is
4%. Yeah.
Even
it's
here
actually
in
down
Ontario.
to 2%.
Yeah, even here in Ontario. So you can put 4.2% or something like that.
Okay. So I'm just gonna stay in the middle of both of you so I don't start a world war. 4.5. And then we're gonna amortize it over 25 years, of course. Amortization doesn't mean they're gonna have it for 25 years, but
actually the new rules allow you up to 30 years.
30 years, yeah. I believe that
from December 17th.
Yes, 30 years, yeah. So that means that this person is paying a monthly, so bi-weekly of $375, monthly of $751. Of course, there's going to be condo fees, there's going to be property taxes. So by the time you put everything together, maybe everything is 1,200, for example. So they can get 2 roommates, each pay 600. And the kid stays in the living room, puts up cotton, something to shield himself, give himself some privacy, and just stay there for 4 years and have the roommates pay the mortgage, right? And then, of course, at the end of the 4 years, we're looking at equity. Then he can then take his equity and go home with a degree, stayed in residence for free, has money to buy a proper house. Is this doable? Sister Dedayo, are you more excited now?
Very much. The Nigerian in me is picking up.
Yes. So this is doable. This is doable, guys. So I'm gonna throw it back again. Open mic, please. Everybody, who has a comment, please? Let's wrap things up. Sister Joyce, you have not said anything. I knew I promised I wasn't gonna call names, but I'm calling you now. Anything to say? Okay.
Did they hear my name?
Go ahead, please. Oh, she muted again. Okay, go ahead.
Oh no, I don't have any questions.
Okay, but you know, you're flowing with all the information, right?
Yes, ma. A lot of good information. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless. Okay, so Sister Margaret, I know you're itching to say something. Dr. Charlie is itching to say something. I know Auntie Dede is itching to say something. So hand it over to you guys. Who wants to go first?
Dr. Charlie can go first.
Oh, I'm not quite itching to say something, so I'm waiting to hear. Sometimes learn a lot.
Any other person before I go? I just want to throw in the last nugget here.
Okay.
So that everyone that came here will be like happy that they were here.
Yes.
So I want to follow up with what Dr. Charlie said, that some people apply for school fees loans and they will not qualify them because of the income of the parents.
Yes.
So one of these times that we're making withdrawals for school RESPs, I actually got to learn a tip from my clients that if that child is 18 and they file their own taxes as independent people, they can apply for their own school fees loan without putting their parents in there. And their parents' income has nothing to do with them because they have filed their taxes and they are independent, just like they move out of the house, they're struggling in their lives. And the parents' income will not affect them in that line of school fees loan. And so they can still get away with taking some school fees loan and making some purchases, or take the school fee loan, give the parents to help them make the purchases.
That is, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's
I didn't know. I know it at the time.
Thank you very much. You just
found it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
We have 3 minutes to go. I know that we could stay here for the next hour and have a lot to say, but I'm very, very excited with this conversation because what this is going to do is going to equip our people with information as to how to start building that generational wealth through all the mechanisms we have. We have student loan, we have RESP, we have all kinds of things, right, available to us that we need to put a little bit more thought into for our good, for the good of our children. So that, again, our children can start life not high and dry, right? So I'm really excited about this. Dr. Charlie?
One thing is don't be too discouraged about Ontario, because especially the close to the GTA area, although they are expensive, you will get, in most cases, well, British Columbia is the other place, you'll get better returns for your value after the 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Equity build up. Yes.
But you're looking at, in Guelph, you'll be looking at $400, $500 for a 2-bedroom, easily. I mean, there are some that go for 800,000, right? But if you're going for something that was built in 1970 something, or 80 something, you can get something for between 400 and 500 right now, right? Yeah, and the other thing is, going for townhomes, like apartments is one thing. With the condominium fees, they don't appreciate as much as townhomes, semi-detached and things like that, right?
Right.
So there you'll be looking at spending a bit more, maybe having a little more rooms, more tenants, more chances for contention, but the appreciation is higher if you get the right people. So I've been going through things And one thing that I thought about is if I were to get something like that, if my son was agreeable or my daughter was agreeable, because I like discussing these things with them, I don't make unilateral decisions. Then I would do that, and I would still get a real estate agent to get me clients, even though it would cost me 1 month's rent. Because then the chances of getting those people who will want to stay for 2-3 years without paying rent, you can imagine as a parent dealing with that. Now imagine a child who's 17-18-year-old having to do that, right? So that's just something to be careful. And the last thing is, even if you get a 2-bedroom apartment and you decide to rent it out, be very careful who you rent it to. Because you'll either get somebody helping you, or you'll have a headache that's a toothache with no painkillers.
Oh, wow, that's a strong allergy. I can feel the pain already. Toothache with no painkillers. That's a good one. That's a good one. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of wisdom there. Definitely use the services of a property manager, so that way they bear the legal responsibility of your property, and all the rent time. Wow. Okay, Mama Dede, any last words?
No, ma, I think they said all that I'm saying. I'm just thinking that if, just like you are saying, we have to, I don't know, I don't think any parents would like to put his or her money there when you know that your child, I'm not saying people's children, but you get where I'm coming from, are not capable of, what about if they drop out of school or something, right? So like Uncle is saying, this is something, fingers crossed, let's hope everything goes on smoothly. And I just like the toothache without the pain medication, because I've been reading a lot of things about it in Ontario. So I was thinking along that line. So he actually read my mind. But it's a good idea, right? If all things being equal, it's going to be amazing, and at least we'll help our kids.
Yes, it will help kids. Plus the fact that I remember that the parents' names are on the mortgage, so the parents actually own the property. So if the kid drops out, the parent can rent that's another property that they have somewhere, and they can get a property manager to rent it.
Amen.
Yeah. Sister Margaret, you know how I said for your son, because he's already in school, it's too late. It's not too late, because he has another 2 years to go, right? In which, in the future, I did the math, he'll be paying another $26,000. So this is an opportunity for you, Miss Trim. You can get him something in Calgary. And Calgary, I just showed you some numbers. You can buy properties in Calgary that will not break the bank, right? So yeah, definitely, I would say go for it. Explore the options. And I do know I have some Calgary realtor friends that I can connect you with. Okay, so I love you guys. I wish we could stay longer. I love to see everybody's faces. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for taking time out of your very busy Sunday afternoon to have this conversation for our community. I'm really excited with all the ideas that have come up. So please, brothers and sisters out there, pay attention to everything that has been said. And, if you have more ideas, I'm going to upload this to YouTube. Definitely put some comments in the YouTube. Let's take all these ideas and help our children. God bless you. God bless. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bless you too.
Thank you. Thank you.